Today's show is being sponsored by the Spring Forward Writers Retreat. If you're someone who's been sitting on your book for weeks, months, years now, especially if you're a Gen X woman, you've been through some major experiences, you have a story, you have something to say and to share with the world, but you've been sitting on it or you've been a bit confused as to where to start. 2025 is your year to shine and get it done and get that story out there. The Spring Forward Writers Retreat will be a 3-day retreat in beautiful sunny Orlando, Florida, where we're coming together for the sole purpose of writing the book. We're coming together to help you get what's in your head onto the page so you can come in an aspiring author and leave as an author. Your manuscript will be completed by the end of that weekend. And not only that, but you'll also have the next steps that you'll need to be published and to properly market your book. So you're coming in with your ideas, maybe a partial draft, maybe you started on your book already. But by the end of the weekend, you'll have a completed manuscript and the next steps that you'll need to take to be successful with your book, with your story. You'll have help and guidance not only from myself, but also from other successfully published authors who've experienced the process and can guide you to completion. If this sounds really good to you, if you're interested, go to www.springforwardretreat.com for more information. Good evening, happy Wednesday, my winners and goal getters. Welcome to this week's edition of the Getting the Win Show. I am your host, Melissa T, Procrastination Bully. And hey, getting straight to it, this is the holiday edition. Obviously, we've been in the holiday season for several weeks now, but now we're really in the thick of it. We are mid-December as of this recording, and so I wanted to make sure to come to you guys with some tips and particularly journal prompts to help push you forward to prepare for 2025. Because, hey, here's the truth. By now, everybody's talked about it, right? Everyone has covered the topic of how to prepare for 2025, especially if you're someone who owns a business. Folks that are super diligent, super doing things in advance, they will have already done this from third quarter of this year. They will have done it from October or so. But since you are a recovering procrastinator like myself, I'm making sure to give you this final opportunity to take care of it before 2025 hits you. All right. So I'm walking you through these. These are some prompts that have helped me throughout this year in 2024, and I know they will definitely be of assistance to you heading into 2025. All right. So remember, this is Procrastination Bully. I am bullying the procrastination in you, not bullying you specifically. Okay. I know the holiday season is likely nuts, especially if you're watching this in the United States. And, Christmas is a mainstream thing, or any of these surrounding holidays, whether that's Hanukkah or Kwanzaa, you're preparing to have family, or you're preparing to travel to meet with family, or whatever it is that you're doing as your schedule kind of goes a bit off the rails during the holiday season. We still want to make sure that you take out some time to focus on you and focus on the luxury item that you've either been working on or sitting on up to this point. So let's get into it. The first and main journal prompt, the one that's going to take the longest, but will be by far the most fulfilling for you to do, is planning out what the first 12 weeks of 2025 is going to look like for you. In other words, the first quarter, the first 3 months. Planning that out. What do you want to have accomplished by the end of Q1 in 2025? Let that be the first prompt. How do you want to look? How much do you want to weigh? If it's in your business, what are your revenue goals by the end of Q1? How much revenue will you want to have garnered by the end of Q1 in 2025? And then more specifically to that point, how much profit would you like to have taken home with you by the end of Q1 in 2025? Those are two separate things, overall revenue and profit. So map that out, and then map out How do you want to get there? Like week by week. What do you want to have accomplished by the end of each week over those 12 weeks in 2025? If this sounds a bit too detailed, phone a friend, phone an accountability partner. If you're fortunate to have a coach, go over this with your coach. Phone a relative. You know what I mean? If you're someone that is an external processor, you process information by talking out loud with it, definitely call up someone that you can bounce this off of and can trust with your ideas. Obviously, you want to make sure that whatever your luxury item is doesn't then get, marred or robbed. So make sure you're picking someone that you can trust to go over this. If you're someone that's an internal processor, by all means, carve out the time to do this. It will make a difference. It will make a difference. Journal prompt number 2. Who do you want to have become 1 year from now? So by the end of 2025, December 31st of 2025, who will you have wanted to become? Who do you want to be by the end of the year? Do you want to be more physically fit? Do you want to be more social, more socially connected? Do you want to have learned a new skill or specific skills? Do you want to have finished a certain amount of books? Do you want to be more intelligent in that way? Are there certain certifications that you're looking forward to that are related to either your occupation or just certifications related to skills you want to learn that you want to have completed by the end of 2025? Write those out and then assign dates. Assign dates to them. Whether you want to have completed them by the end of Q1, the end of Q2, 3, or 4. Like, map those out. Give yourself deadlines. So when I say the end of Q1, don't just put the end of Q1, put March 31st, 2025. You know what I mean? The end of Q2, same thing. Like whatever those final dates are for the end of the last month of that quarter. But assign dates, okay? So who do you want to become by the end of the year? Prompt number 3, what are the things that you want to be most proud of for having accomplished by the end of 2025? Lock that down and set that expectation in your mind. What are the things you want to be proud of? Because then that gives you something to look forward to. Like, oh, okay, I got to get this done because I want to become that. I want to be proud of myself for that. Okay? What are those things you want to be proud of? Number 4, who specifically would you like to connect with in 2025? And this could be anybody, people within your real life circle that may be acquaintances, second or third degree contacts that, a friend of a friend of a friend kind of thing. Or it could be mentors or long distance folks or influencers or thought leaders that you want to be more involved with in the new year. Just as an example, say for instance, you may have heard of someone like Lisa Nichols before. She's a transformational coach. Maybe you watch other folks in the personal development or leadership space or speaking space because she trains speakers. And maybe YouTube has been feeding you, recommendations of her videos in your algorithm as a result of what you've been watching. She might be a goal of yours for 2025 in terms of who you'd want to meet or get to know. So these are the people you're including in this list are people you want to either meet literally in real life or people you want to get to know more about. So thought leaders, influencers, speakers, trainers, coaches, people whose content you want to consume more often or more of in 2025. Write those out as well. And then write out why, because it's not just enough to compile this information. It has to make sense for you, right? So write out why. Because then when you write out why, you'll also be able to filter it down if you need to. That's the beautiful thing about this exercise. You're journaling, so you're brainstorming, you're brain dumping. One of the things you always hear me say, if you've been rocking with me for a while, is the moment you get your thoughts on the page, it's finally down to size, at which point you can do something about them. Whether that's filter them out, whatever doesn't make sense for you, or you can take further action on the things that do make sense for you and are of value to you. Okay? So that is prompt number 4. Who do you want to meet? Who do you want to learn more about in 2025? And again, put some dates on them. What by when? Or in this case, who by when? Put some dates on it. Because this will help your schedule take shape over the course of the year, which is sort of an unspoken bonus within this. Like, if you've never done this before, and this is something I recently learned over the course of 2024 that I think will be helpful for you as well, start planning a yearly calendar as opposed to just month to month, figuring out what you need to do, or week to week, which is what most of us do, right? Traditionally speaking. Start planning out your entire year. That way, you're much more selective in your yeses. Once you start to see your calendar for the year and see what is already occupied, you're far less inclined to say random yeses, right? You'll value your time more when you see that it's already dedicated to things that are going to move the needle in your life towards your luxury item, completing it. And more importantly, developing this luxury item, like you yourself. Carving out the annual calendar is a great way, a great form of accountability for you to take care of you. Because if you're anything like me, work is normally the highest priority, right? Like doing the things that are connected to your job or connected to your business. So developing you, becoming a better version of yourself should take a higher priority in your life. God makes you the highest priority. You need to make you the highest priority. Even your business can't grow unless you do. So be sure to carve out that time by using a 12-month calendar, actually start planning out the whole year, not just a month, not just a week. Start with these journal prompts. And when you start assigning those dates, have that 12-month calendar where you visually fill the dates in so you can start seeing the blocks actually occupy the calendar, whether that's digital, through Google Calendar, or whatever other apps you want to use. There are plenty of them out there. This leads me to my next question, which is number 5. What apps or tools do you want to acquire or learn in 2025? Write that list down. And again, what by when? Assign dates to them. Say, for instance, you're someone who wants to learn a little bit more about AI. Maybe you've been skeptical about it, scared to try it, whatever the case may be, but you haven't really been on top of that and you want to up your game in 2025. By all means, jot down which AI apps you want to get to know. There are plenty of them now. For instance, ChatGPT, that's the most well-known one. But there are others out there. There's Gemini on the Google side, and there's napkin.ai, which I recently learned about. If you're someone who is a content creator or thought leader and you want to present things in graphic form, particularly infographics, napkin.ai is a wonderful tool for that. So any form of AI or any form of technology, any kind of apps, any kind of tools that you want to learn and use in 2025, write those down. That's the 5th prompt. Write those down and put those dates next to them as to when you want to master those, when you want to complete that. And again, as a reminder, when you do these prompts, make sure you phone a friend, phone a family member, a coach, accountability partner, whatever the case may be, but another person, so that they can hold you accountable to these dates as well, these deadlines. Okay? Because if nothing changes, then nothing changes. It's one thing to write down these journal prompts. And here's the dangerous thing about that. This is why you need that other person in your life to hold you accountable. The human mind does not know the difference between you writing these things out and you actually executing on them. Your body will have the exact same response in writing these things out, thinking these things through, as if you actually executed on them. Because the human mind, the brain, simply recognizes the decision. So the decision to write out your answers, it's the same for your brain as if you made the decision to take the action, to actually do the thing. So this is why it's going to be important for you to share these answers with another person so that you actually do the second half of that and actually execute. Okay? Your mind and body aren't going to know the difference. So it's up to you to ensure that you know the difference. Okay? Now, the importance of these first prompts that I've shared with you is to help break down the components of you becoming a better version of yourself. Myron Golden calls them input objectives as opposed to resolutions. We all know that New Year's resolutions don't work. They don't stick, right? Because for all intents and purposes, New Year's resolutions are promises you're making to yourself. Self-confidence is built on the promises you make to yourself and keeping them, right? However, if you give yourself a goal and then break down the components of that goal, you're much more likely to complete them as opposed to simply promising yourself, yeah, I want to lose weight, I want to lose weight by summer. That's a super vague promise. But two, it's only a promise versus I want to lose 25 pounds by June 30th, 2025. That's far more specific. And then your input objectives would be how. How do you want to lose the weight? Are you going to go full carnivore to do it? Are you going to cut out carbs and refined sugar? If you saw my recent interview with Lisa Angel Smith, the parts 1 and 2, we go over that because I've done something very similar in my life. I followed Lisa's protocol and lost 40 pounds to date. I started her protocol March 6th of 2024. As of this recording, in December of 2024, I'm down to 132 from 170. That's a lot of weight that I've been able to keep off. So when you're setting these objectives, be very specific and give yourself the how. And if you're not quite clear on the how, that's okay. This is the other reason why going over these with another person is going to be very important, because they can fill in some blanks for you. They may have a better way of achieving your goal or give you clarification on how to get there if you're brand new to it. You know what I mean? Especially for prompt number 5, where you're listing out the different tools and apps that you want to get into, that accountability partner of yours may already be using something that you want to get to learn more about. And they might be like, oh, I can help you. I can walk you through that. They can save you some time, which is always good. We're always talking about that, right? Like if you've been rocking with me, I'm always talking about ways to save time through a person. Okay. So yeah, definitely go by the approach of input objectives. Prompts 1 through 5, what by when, who by when. Make sure you also involve your hows. Break down your hows. Especially prompt number 1, where you go over what you want to have accomplished in the first 12 weeks and break it down week to week. You'll definitely need some hows to make that possible. Say, for instance, one of your 12-week goals is to increase your social media following. Okay, how do you want to do that? What is the number that you're looking for? And what platform or platforms are you seeking to increase your numbers on? That's when you can really break it down because you have a clearer picture of what you want to do. When you look at these from the point of input objectives towards a goal that you actually want and are excited about, you're far more likely to execute and complete these. Okay? Yes, I know it's the holiday season. Things are supposed to be getting a little more lax, at least for a week or at least for a couple of days, depending on the kind of work that you do, whether you're corporate or you're in your own business or whatever the case may be. Things are a bit different around the holidays, and a lot of us want to kind of relax a little bit, just a hair. But I want to make sure to present this to you because goals never take a break. Transformation never takes a break. Recovery cannot afford to take a break. If you're a recovering procrastinator like myself, recovery can never take a break because that's when you fall off the wagon, right? When it comes to procrastination and that luxury item that is waiting on you to be completed, and the God that is waiting on you to move on that luxury item, you can't really afford to take a break or fall off the wagon. Your life is at stake. Your success is at stake. Your impact on others is at stake. So I want to impart that very strongly. Like, keep pushing, keep going. Yes, this is the holiday season. You'll likely, if you have health goals, this is that one season where everybody falls off. It's the holidays. All the things are being cooked and baked and presented, right? Make decisions like your life depends on them, because your life literally does. As Lisa shared, if you're somebody that has the health goal of losing weight, you'll need to commit to laying off of the sugar. Refined sugar, processed grains. You'll need to back up off of those. Like, one, to reduce the glucose spikes, which causes inflammation, and to give yourself a sharper mind. Even when you're relaxing over the holidays, you still want to stay sharp. And as Lisa explained, sugar and those kind of foods give you brain fog. So if you want to feel better over the course of the holidays, not feel as heavy, not feel as groggy, not be as exhausted, not have a food coma after you eat, you likely experienced that over Thanksgiving. Let's prevent that for this latter half of the holiday season, okay? Commit to yourself to do that. Then the last prompt that I'll share with you as I wrap up here, I mentioned this in a separate video, but I want to go back over this as we're heading into 2025. Again, I learned this from Lisa Nichols. This is what she calls the mirror exercise, or the ICU exercise. I'm presenting this in the journal prompt kind of way, but I'm challenging you to do both, to write it down and to say it out loud to your reflection in the mirror so you can hear yourself say these things. When you're done with the first 5 prompts, and you use these answers to reference for the mirror exercise or the ICU exercise. So, quick recap. Lisa Nichols presents 3 sentences, each with 7 different endings. So the first sentence is, state your name. I'm proud that you, and list 7 things that you're proud of, or that you're celebrating yourself for, including those things that you want to be proud of by the end of 2025. Include those things. Speak those things into the present. So, Melissa, I'm proud that you, as the example, right? And then the 7 things that you're currently proud of and that you want to be proud of yourself for having completed by the end of 2025. Sentence number 2, insert your name. I forgive you for. List the things that you forgive yourself for in 2024, and anything beyond 2024 that you're still carrying for whatever reason. You don't need to carry that stuff into 2025. So starting from now, and this is why I want to present this to you before this year ends, so you're not going into 2025 with stuff that you don't need. Okay? So state your name, I forgive you for, and 7 things that you forgive yourself for. Go to God with them as well. Like, let that be the first thing you do in terms of forgiveness. Go to God with it so he can forgive you. But more importantly, make sure you're stating those things that you forgive yourself for. Because we as human beings have this odd habit of presenting things to God for his forgiveness. And he'll do that because he promised that. Like through the blood of Jesus, like Jesus does that. But then we'll still carry it as if we still need to pay for it when he already did. So let's make sure we don't do that heading into 2025. Don't force yourself to pay for something he already paid for. Let him handle that. Let him blot that out. Let him give you the wisdom that you need to handle the consequences of those poor choices or mistakes or bad decisions. Because to all choices have consequences, and we're never free from those. But don't carry the weight of making yourself pay for it, making yourself feel guilty, kicking yourself. 7 things that you forgive yourself for. And then the last sentence, your name, and then I commit to you that. From your previous prompts, those goals that you want to accomplish within the first 12 weeks, those tools that you want to learn, the skills you want to acquire, 7 things. Put them in those slots that you commit to yourself that you're going to do. Okay? So run this back. Play it at half speed if you need to. But make sure to do these prompts and actually execute on them in 2025. And the best way to do that is to share your answers with someone else that you can trust. An accountability partner, a family member, a close friend, a coach, whomever that you can trust. Because again, your mind and your body are going to respond as if you already accomplished the thing when you didn't. You only made the decisions to map it out and get started. So it's important to hold yourself accountable and have someone else hold you accountable so that you can actually accomplish those things. Okay? If you have any questions, be sure to hit me up and subscribe here on YouTube if you're watching the video on YouTube at Getting the Win. If you want to follow me on Instagram, follow me there at Getting the Win Show. And then if you have any questions, you want to DM me, then DM me. Like follow first, then DM. All right? I'm more than happy to answer your questions. You can hit me up on Threads and Pinterest at Getting the Win Show in those areas as well. Now, next week's episode is going to be a fun one. It is an interview that I did with a friend of mine, James. He goes by the nickname Kamish. He is the author of the book Farang in the Land of Smiles. So we're going to get into his story and his travels, the lessons he learned in traveling to Thailand, some of his lessons working in the music industry, talking about his backstory and his journey of beating procrastination. And I mean, he's somebody that you can follow right now to get a bit of a taste of what he's been up to before the interview drops next week. And the sweet thing about it dropping next week is that he is also dropping the audiobook next week, which is why the interview is dropping next week. So be sure to tune in if you're interested in that, learning more about his story. And he's chronicled his entire journey on social media, both Facebook and Instagram. Just look him up at Commish's Corner, COMMISHS, Corner, CORNER, to get a bit of a foretaste before the interview drops. All right. In the meantime and between time, have a great rest of your Wednesday and a great rest of your week. Peace.